times in 2 years. If you're gonna be stupid, you gotta be.
Come on back, fourth one's discounted
Yeah,
price.
we got a quantity discount for you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's 6 o'clock, and I'd like to call the December 2nd, or next to last meeting of 2021 to order. If you'd stand with us. We've got Commissioner Wilder will lead us in our invocation, and Commissioner Dempsey will lead us in the pledge.
Y'all would bow with us. Lord, we want to thank you for yet again another beautiful day. We want to thank you for all the many blessings you bestow upon this community for all of us. We ask that you look over us tonight, guide us, help us to make the right decisions. Look over our law enforcement and our firemen and our EMTs that protect us from day to day here in our county. We ask that you guide us going forward. I want to thank you for all the folks that have shown up tonight and give us all safe passage home from this meeting. Ask.
Pledge
Flag of the United States of America, Republic, which it stands, one nation, under God, liberty and justice.
Thank you. And if I could remind you to please silence your cell phones as we start the meeting tonight. We do have all 5 commissioners present tonight for a full quorum. Gentlemen, you've had a chance to read over the minutes from the November 18th meeting, which Commissioner Futch and I were absent. If you're satisfied with the minutes from that meeting, I need a motion from approval or the amendment that needs to be made.
Motion.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 3 with 2 abstentions. Gentlemen, we've also had a chance to examine the agenda for tonight. I believe we do have one item that needs to come off. I need a...
Yep, Mr. Chairman, please remove from H2G4 RZ 21-12-04.
Okay, and is there anything we need to note in the minutes for the reason for removing? Was it advertised incorrectly? Was that?
There's a, the application, or the application that's before you that was to be removed, has a 6-month shot clock on it. It was denied and therefore has a 6-month. That waiting period has not yet expired.
Okay, okay. Gentlemen, the motion been made to remove that item from the agenda. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor to remove from or approve the amended agenda? Passes 5-0. We have no unfinished business, no new business. We'll move right down to plan revisions. Mr. Butler, file RZ 211205.
No, sir, it's a request for a minor S1 plan revision.
Sir, before you do, I skipped something. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to clarify that the Planning Commission is a recommending body to the Columbia County Board of Commissioners. The decisions made on rezoning and variance requests tonight will be forwarded to the Commissioners for final action on December 21st, 2021 in these chambers. If you wish to address the Board of Commissioners at their meeting, please see Ms. Carol Harden, and she'll give you a request to speak form. If you'd like to come forward and speak tonight during the public hearing portion of the meeting, or in our public comment section at the end of the meeting, raise your hand. We'll ask you to come to the microphone and spend 3 to 5 minutes to give us your opinion on whatever topic you've got. Now that we've got the disclaimer to satisfy the attorneys, Mr. Butler.
Yeah, this is a request for a minor S1 plan revision at 4600 Columbia Road for a portion of the property there. The request is to basically revise the existing clubhouse amenity area. So, location of the property on the south side of Columbia Road. We're going to be dealing with basically the very front of this. Again, currently split zoned S1 and R2. There you have a mixture of everything around it. You have some TR across the street, S1 to the east, and R2 to the west, to the south, some R3 and R2. As aerial view of the site, we're dealing with the amenity area this evening. Also the plat of the property and the existing site. So what we're looking at tonight is some changes in these 3 areas. Pretty basic, we're being honest. I mean, overall, it's addition of 4 parking spaces and some revisions to the overall layout itself. This is the site plan again here. So you do have, entrance is changing. This has changed a little bit as well. Then you have new additional golf cart parking there. Some changes to the pool itself, and also some concrete area up here as well for parking. Again, definition of a minor revision. Staff really has no issues with it. In terms of future land use, it is within the neighborhood's character area. This is an existing senior living facility, so the minor revision meets the intent of the Vision 2035 comprehensive plan. Staff recommends approval of the request.
Okay, and
Staff recommendation.
does this fall under a public hearing?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so. All right, gentlemen, this is not a public hearing, so if you have any questions, please ask staff now. If not, I need a motion to approve, to disapprove, or to table.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve file RZ 21-12-05 minor S1 revision at 4600 Columbia Road.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Motion to approve passes 5-0. Ms. Mystery, we'll open our public hearings with you tonight. File RZ 211201.
Thank you, sir. This is rezoning to P1. The location is 2029 William Few Parkway. The total parcel is 17 acres, and this is for a portion that's 2 acres. The current zoning is S1 special, and there is a cell tower on the site, and the remainder of the site is undeveloped. Here is the location. It's close to the corner of Baker Place and William Few Parkway. And the zoning map shows there is the S1 zoning. It's actually for the Evans Christian School. Surrounding zoning is R2 for residential, PUD that has subdivisions with single-family homes and townhomes, and then the school and some offices along William Few. This is the parcel, and the yellow line shows the 2-acre portion that is requested to be rezoned to P1 professional for a medical complex. Here's the plat of the property. And an aerial that shows the top north corner has a cell tower in there, has been built there already, and it has a separate access road off William Few Parkway. And that's the street view that shows the access, which is unaffected by this P1 request. Existing site. And this is the 2006 approved plan with the S1 zoning for the school. It shows classroom buildings, parking areas, and some recreational facilities. And just to give a story of the background on this, 2006 is when it was zoned. There wasn't really much out there at all. There was the start of the Ivy Falls subdivision. Some of it's still under construction. And then in 2009, the school was built, and there's also some office development and county offices going in along William Few Parkway, and Ivy Falls subdivision still being built, and Chastain Place and High Meadows. In 2014, there was an application for the cell tower on the north part of this site. It was actually disapproved by the county and then later approved by the court, and it was built in that location. So the applicant has submitted a development plan showing their intention. They've got 2 medical offices located here with associated parking and stormwater ponds, etc. This is just an initial sketch plan. It's not really an engineered plan or anything that would be tied to this rezoning if it was approved. Basically, the portion would be on the 2.909 acres. The 2 buildings are shown at 4,500 and 3,600 square feet. There is a 20-foot buffer required by the code next to the houses. This would also require a revision for the S1 for the school because it does impede slightly on their original concept plan. The surrounding development does include the PUD at Warriors Walk, which you heard at the last meeting. There was a revision to that. This is the plan that was presented there. Part of the argument for the P1 zoning is that there is nearby compatible uses. So this use does have some office and commercial uses in there and townhomes. This is due to go to the Board of Commissioners for approval for the revision on December the 7th. So the dentist office is already built, the rest of it is still undeveloped. The applicant has submitted these photographs as the architectural style of their medical offices. It is compatible with what's out there. The top one is the dentist office, is already part of Warriors Walk. The other two are offices on other professional corridors in the county. And they would be doing a design that's like this if this was approved. So the future development map is actually incorrectly showing this parcel as open space. But because the surrounding character area is neighborhoods, this is how the staff have analyzed this request for P1. And there's two approaches to this. There is compatible zoning close to the site that would fit the area. And it is, P1 offices is a use that's not harmful to residential, which is close by. But based on the future development map that was adopted earlier this year, the neighborhood's character area allows subdivisions, neighborhoods, and uses such as the school, daycares, things like that, which is what is zoned for now for the S1, but does not mention anything to do with professional uses. And for that reason, staff's recommending disapproval for this request. The staff reports this issue does include some conditions if you want to approve this request, so that's included for your information. And the applicant is mentioned that they would like to present their reasoning for the school to agree to this rezoning.
Thank you, ma'am. Gentlemen, any questions of staff? I would like to make one addition to the narrative that you submitted. I believe on the cell tower, the Planning Commission voted to approve the cell tower, but the commissioners disapproved the cell tower, and that's why it went to federal court.
I believe that's right.
This is a public hearing. Is the applicant here this evening? Yes, sir. Would you like to come forward and give us any additional information? Please give us your name and home address.
Good evening. I'm Dave Lockman, and I'm representing Evans Christian Academy. My wife, Frida Lockman, is the headmaster over there. My address is 217 Utah Springs Trail in North Augusta, and we moved there recently, last April. I would like to begin by talking a little bit about Evans Christian Academy and giving you a little bit of background. Evans Christian Academy was started in 1991, so we've been around for about 30 years. And it was established for families that want a non-traditional education. And it applies for students in the 6th to 12th grade. It is one of the few small schools in the area, small private schools, that apply for 6th to 12th grade. There are several that have elementary, but very few, if any, others that have a small school that has 6th through 12th grade education. Some of the parents and students applied to Evans Christian Academy for different reasons. Some medical, some religious, some because they wanted special courses and special tutoring, some because they wanted special attention and small classes. So it caters to that sort of person. The attendance of Evans Christian Academy has been 20 to 50 people over the last 30 years. It's varied up and down. And at present, it's 20 people. We do not expect it to grow beyond 50 people in the future. ECA has had many motivated students. Parents are always talking about how great the kids' education was. Some of the children have become medical doctors. Some have become nurse practitioners. Some have gone into business, owned business, worked for businesses. One person became a pastor and another is studying to becoming a pastor. So we have a wide variety of successes at the school. ECA is not affiliated with any church. We made that as a conscious decision so that it would not be tied to any church or any specific doctrine.
Lockman, if I could interrupt you, I understand you want to sell us on the school,
I'm getting there.
But you got about 3 minutes left to sell us on why we should approve the suggested proposal here.
Okay, because we are not affiliated with any church, we exist through donations and tuition. And that makes it for a very tight budget. There are several reasons that I would like you to consider rezoning this. First of all, we believe that this facility would be very compatible with the school across the street and around the corner to help parents with dental, medical situations. Secondly, as you saw from the picture, the proposed building would fit into the housing developments that are around there. Third, there would be very low traffic flow affecting the area. Fourth, we talked about the buffers that are on the east and the north side already. The advantages that this change would have is the people that want to buy the property want to extend the sewer and the water lines up to the property, which saves us a tremendous amount of money, as you can imagine. Also, where we want to put in a driveway, they're willing to put in the driveway, the road, so that it's a joint road that we can share. So there is a lot of advantages to that. And finally, by rezoning this, we can sell the property to a commercial facility, a professional building that has dental and medical facilities, and that gives us the funds so that we can start planning and building. Right now, we're in kind of a catch-22 because we're limited in how much space we have, so we can't grow, but we can't get into another facility unless we have more students and more tuition and more money coming in. So we are kind of in a catch-22 area because of that, and this would alleviate a lot of that concern. So because of those reasons, I would like you to reconsider or consider rezoning it to professional. And with that, I would like to introduce Ruth Brosnahan, who is a friend of ours and also a realtor that knows the area very well, and talk about what's happening with the realty market. Is there any questions for me before Ruth comes up?
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I'm Ruth Brosnahan. My address is 1181 Sumter Landing Circle in Evans.
Spell your last name, please.
Brosnahan.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'm the broker for the property across the street, which is going to be called Warriors Walk, and also for the client that potentially wants to buy this professional space if it's rezoned. So I'd like to talk about how this fits in with the area. In my work, I have worked with hundreds of people coming to our area from other places in the country, and one of the most common complaints is that compared to other areas, we do not have a lot of school choice options. We have great public schools, but for children who don't fit that model very well and need other options for education, we don't have a lot of options for that, particularly like Dave Lockman mentioned in the middle and high school range. So I'm very aware of that, as well as one of my own 6 children fits that mold of kids who don't really aren't best served in the public school system. So I really appreciate his vision and the hard work they put into ECA over the past 30 years. I think it's a critical need right now in our county, and also something that will continue to be a strong need for families over the next years. One of the things that was written in the staff's summary about this when they let us know that they were going to recommend disapproval is that the Warriors Walk development is not completed yet, and because of that, they felt that our request was premature to rezone this as professional. However, I can tell you from my client, who is the developer of that area, that she is going full speed ahead as soon as these permits can be given with that entire property to be developed as fast as possible. And it was included, her timeline as given by our engineer in the proposal that was given about Warriors Walk, that we anticipate next fall having the building underway. So I get calls about that property on almost a daily basis from interested businesses who would like to locate at Warriors Walk as soon as it's built. And so I know that that's not going to be an issue for us to have premature zoning of development. However, what I do know is that this will fit very well with the neighborhood because it's a very low impact use of this land. And because ECA has determined that they don't need all of their property for the vision that they have. Their model is a very small school, as they've indicated. It would drastically hinder their property value if we were to characterize this the way that the staff chose to do that in correcting the error on the Vision 2035 plan as neighborhoods rather than as neighborhood crossroads, which it clearly is a major crossroads of the county of two very important roads. In fact, William P. Parkway is slated for widening because there are over 16,000 cars going there every day right now, and that is growing very quickly when Baker Place opens up the additional entrance to accommodate the Tillery and all the folks from Canterbury Farm start going down Baker Place. We're going to have a lot more cars coming this way. So we know that this is a major crossroads and that it doesn't work well in the classification of neighborhoods because that only allows for civic use and for residential, and there's really nothing residential about this property. It has vast frontage on a main road and would not be well suited for residential property of any kind. As I said, that would drastically reduce the property value of ECA in owning this property and hinder their ability to use it for its highest and best use, which would be commercial if it is not going to be entirely used as a school. So if they were to sell part or all of their property now or in the future, we ask that it be discussed as a neighborhood crossroads, not as a neighborhood, because it would not fit that use well. Also, I'd like to just say that one of the other comments that was made in the summary by the staff was, like I said, that since Warriors Walk is not already on the ground, that this should not be rezoned yet. But to me, that's really kind of like saying if you're in a neighborhood, you can't build your house because their neighbor hasn't built their house yet. And I would say that the question that zoning seeks to answer is not that, but should there be a house there ever in the first place, which is what we'd like to have happen here. We'd like to give them the option of developing this in a way that's a good partner for them and helps them to share their costs in a way that works well for their personal vision. And I really appreciated being here in the room when the 2035 vision plan was presented by the consultant from Savannah and the folks who were concerned about that being used as the end-all be-all of the decisions that were made were given the assurance that it would be used as a tool and not as the final say. And as we know that this is clearly an error on the 2035 plan.
Roseanne, I'm going to ask you to yield the microphone. We've hit 5 minutes.
Okay,
Okay,
yes.
thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
This is a public hearing. Is there anyone else that would like to speak either for or against this particular rezoning? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and accept a motion to approve, to disapprove, or to table.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to disapprove file RZ 211201, rezoning from S1 2029 to P1 at 2029 William Few Parkway.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, all in favor to disapprove, raise your right hand. Motion to disapprove carries 5-0. On Ms. Mystery, on our next item, file RZ 211202, the applicant has asked us to withdraw without prejudice. However, since we've advertised this, we do need to go forward with the public hearing. Is that correct?
Yes, so we'll run through the slides quickly.
Okay.
So this is a PUD plan revision, intersection of Ronald Reagan and North Bel Air Road on 1.08 acres. Current zoning is PUD, planned unit development, and the request is for 2 commercial buildings and a drive-through. Here is the parcel on the corner of North Bel Air and Ronald Reagan. Zoning is PUD for the Evans Plaza, and the surrounding zoning is M2, R2, RP1. A close-up of the aerial that shows the property and the existing site. And this was the 2004 approved plan for Marshall Square. And it was approved for several commercial uses, including a drive-through for coffee houses. The revision was the 2009 approved plan, and that's the site right here we'll be looking at. And this is in relation to the 2016 Plaza PUD plan that was approved. Here is the plat of the property and a close-up. And this is the parcel that's missing out of this one, and that's why the request is to withdraw, and we have had a resubmittal for this one. This is the development plan that shows two commercial buildings here and here. The coffee house would go in this section with the drive-through coming around here. This is the proposal of the architecture that would be single-story buildings and materials that would fit in with Evans Town Center overlay. And on the future development map, it's the activity center for Evans Town Center. And the request is to withdraw without prejudice.
Gentlemen, any questions, staff? Is the applicant here? All right, is there anyone that'd like to speak either for or against this particular rezoning? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing, accept a motion to approve, to disapprove, or to allow to withdraw without prejudice.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to withdraw without prejudice, file RZ 21-1202, major PUD.
Do I hear a second? Discussion? All in favor? Motion to withdraw is approved, 5-0. Ms. Montgomery, file RZ 21-12-03. The applicant is asked to postpone until February 3rd. However, since it's been advertised, we'll still go forward with the public hearing.
Yes, sir. This is a request for a rezoning for two parcels at 4204 Washington Road from R2 Single Family Residential to PRD Planned Residential Development. This is the location of the properties on kind of the southwest side of Washington Road between the existing apartment community formerly known as Saddle Creek, now renamed the Belmont, and the Washington Commons development. The properties are currently zoned R2, as are some surrounding properties. There's also the existing apartment complex and several commercial properties in the area. This is the aerial of the site. You can see there is an existing house on one of the properties, and the remainder is vacant. This property does have quite a bit of floodplain to deal with. So we'll see in a moment the applicants have created development largely outside of these floodplain areas. You'll notice also that basically the entire road frontage from Washington Road is floodplain, which would be difficult and expensive and probably not particularly viable to cross for access to the property. This is a photo of the existing site. You can see there is a residential driveway that's been built from Washington Road. That's the current access to the site. The back of the site does back up to Legion Drive. This has been kind of the contentious point throughout this. We have seen the request on this property before. Earlier this year that was withdrawn. Legion Drive, as far as we can tell at this point, is essentially a private easement. There is no dedicated right-of-way that we are aware of, and it is 20 feet wide. We did determine that, and it is paved, and it was paved by the county, so it is county maintained. However, we do not own any right-of-way over this road, so it's not a true public road. So the development plan as submitted is for 200 apartment units. Those are divided between 5 three-story buildings and then clusters kind of on the back edge and the front edge of what are being called townhouse units, although they are not intended to be subdivided. So per county code, since they would all be on one parcel, they would still be considered apartment units. This gives a density of just under 13 units per acre, which is in line with the allowed density in the apartment complex to the north that they would be expanding from. You can see primary access is actually through that apartment complex, so using the existing driveway on Washington Road. And then there is a secondary access proposed out the back of the existing apartment complex to Legion Drive. They did have this in the earlier submittal this year, but it was kind of an emergency-only access. One of the revisions with this submittal is since the traffic study has been completed, there are revisions proposed to this main entrance on Washington Road, and then there is public access proposed to Legion Drive to allow access out to the light for kind of northbound left turn movements. Since Legion Drive is now intended to be basically public access for the residents, there are conditions requiring that Legion Drive be upgraded to a public road. That will likely require purchase of right-of-way for the road as part of that process. So one of the outstanding issues for this item is agreement from those property owners for acquisition of that right-of-way so that that road can be upgraded and made a public road for this development. The applicants have submitted elevations of the proposed buildings. If this property is rezoned, it will be subject to the Evanstown Center overlay requirements. And the submitted elevations do appear to be compatible with those standards, although that would be reviewed and approved with the actual building permit submittals. Some additional examples of the development plan. And examples of the upgrades going on. The applicants are in the process of upgrading the amenity center and clubhouse on the existing development as well. In terms of future land use, this parcel is in the neighborhood's character area on the future development map. However, it is adjacent to the Evanstown Center mixed-use activity center, which has that vision for commercial use, employment center, higher density residential is part of that. And with the update to the Vision 2035 plan, we do have the option of kind of extending these activity centers when it's appropriate. For this property in particular, it is between two higher density residential developments already. And as we saw, the access is really going to be through the existing apartment complex. So with those conditions, staff feels it's appropriate to consider this as kind of an extension of the Evans Activity Center and in compliance with the intent of the future development plan to concentrate these types of developments in the Evans, Martinez, and Gateway areas. So although there's no concerns with it from the future development side, there are some refinements that need to happen with the development plan. And that includes coordination with DOT and the fire marshal, as well as the previous mentioned access for Legion Drive and acquisition of permission for right-of-way acquisition. Staff is therefore recommending postponing the item, and as you mentioned, the applicants have requested the February 3rd date for that postponement.
Gentlemen, any questions of staff? All right, thank you. Is the applicant here? They were here earlier. Okay. Since the applicant's not here, this is a public hearing. Is there anyone here that would like to speak either for or against this particular rezoning? Yes, sir. Please come forward. Give us your name and home address.
Larry Williams, 4464 Whisperwood Drive, Martinez. I'm here on behalf of the American Legion and Drive being widened for this apartment complex. What are you going to do with Owens Road? That's my question. You can't turn that much traffic on that road. It's on a blind curve to start with. Unless it's, in particular, if you're going to build that subdivision straight across the street, 100 and something houses. I thought of that.
Yes, sir. Those discussions are had, but roads and bridges are not our purview here. So that's a totally different department. You're going to speak to the commissioners about that. Mr. Sterling, would you like to elaborate on that?
I'll say that, as part of their traffic study, they've had to look at not only the entrance out onto Washington Road, the trip generation within the existing apartment development, plus the proposed apartment units and the number of trips that are generated. So the action and activity that would be put onto Legion Drive has been included in that analysis. Those discussions are ongoing with Georgia DOT as to what those improvements all need to be and have not been finalized. Part of the reason why the request for postponement is before the board tonight. So, the concern that it is a blind curve and all that has been factored in. GDOT will weigh in on that as part of their review.
And those 200 and something houses you're talking about have not been approved.
Sir?
Those 200 and something houses you mentioned have, have not been approved.
Maybe eventually.
Yeah.
So, we don't know what eventually will happen in a lot of places.
This one across the street here was not approved. They would.
That's what, a month ago?
Not approved.
Not even.
Reason I bring this up, I spent many years as an accident investigator. Another bunch of years working for an insurance company, going back and refiguring it all over again. All I can see right now is a whole lot of accidents.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak either for or against? Yes, sir. Please come forward. Give us your name and home address. Sir, we'll go with you next.
My name's Jacob Gray. I'm at 4200 Washington Road. And based on this map actually that's up currently right now, I guess this is a problem that only affects me uniquely, but I'd be curious to know how the increased elevation in the current map that they have drawn here would affect the water runoff and essentially flooding onto my property.
Where are you, if you,
So I am at,
you can mark on that?
yep, that's it. That's
Okay.
me. That would be my primary concern for us.
Yeah, and that's a function of stormwater. They're not going to be able to throw water off on neighbors?
Right, and that'll be, they have not fully engineered this plan at this time. Pending any zoning approval and moving forward with site plan, that review will occur through our plan review process. And so our stormwater management division reviewing that environmental science and making sure that they're in compliance with all state and federal requirements as well as county.
All right, thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Please come forward, give us your name and home address.
Lawrence Harris, 270 Legion. I'm concerned about the road being widened, and I'm looking at the way it's going to be. It's going to affect me in this corner down here at the bottom. Here.
So
That affect me with them widening the road and the back of the complex into my property.
Okay. So you're concerned about the buffers between you and the folks next door. What kind of buffers would have to be in place between the two pieces of property, Ms. Montgomery?
So they are required to have a minimum 20-foot width buffer, and that would have a solid fence as part of that space. You can kind of see that little green line they're showing behind those buildings is that buffer space. In regards to the widening of the road, they would likely, honestly, only widen it as far as they needed to, so to their entrance. I doubt they would get as far back as your property.
Well, I don't know where they're talking about. Okay.
See the blue arrow?
Yeah, so basically it would be that stretch of the road.
Okay. So I wouldn't have to worry about the traffic that comes back there.
No, sir.
No, sir.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak either for or against this particular rezoning? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and accept a motion to approve, to disapprove, or to postpone until February 3rd of 2022.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion to postpone file RZ 1203, rezoning R2 to PRD from 4204 Washington Road to February 3rd.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor? Motion to postpone until February 3rd passes 5-0. File RZ 211204 has been removed per motion when we approved the agenda or amended the agenda. Mr. Butler, file VA 211202.
Sure, there's a request for a variance, 101 Billwood Drive, currently zoned C2. The request is to reduce the building setbacks along Billwood Drive. There's a location of the property at the intersection of Billwood Drive and Bastion Road. And again, currently zoned C2, you got some C1 to the east, P1 to the west, and also some R3, then to the north another C2. An aerial view of the site with an existing Jiffy Lube on it. The property. And also the existing site. Another view of the existing site. And the overall concept plan. So back in 2006, the property received a variance, reduced the building setback to 40 feet from Bastion Road. It was very clear it was only for Bastion Road, so it would not apply to the rest of the property. The applicant is requesting to reduce the building setback on Bellwood down to 40 feet from the center line. So basically it's going to be at its closest point about 15 feet 4 inches from the right-of-way for this proposed building here. The building that's proposed is for basically an extension of Jiffy Lube. The one over here on Washington Road, this is close to this office. It has kind of an auto repair port to the business. That's what this will be as well. And again, with the variance, there's really no, one thing to mention as well, that they brought up as part of their reasoning. They do have a pond here and this access drive here. Not a lot of room on the site, plus with it being a corner lot as well, they've kind of been hemmed in a little bit with the issues on the site itself. In terms of the building, they have provided elevations for it. We do have conditions that speak to making these look very much like what we're seeing tonight as part of that, and also the internal or the floor plan of the building as well, and also kind of show you a real-world example of the building itself. So overall, staff does recommend approval of conditions of the request. We do have the landscape plan prepared by a licensed landscape architect. I'll include additional landscape along Billwood Drive frontage back at the back of the proposed building. Again, you saw before, that building doesn't have any windows in it, so it kind of help hide that. You do have some residential close by. And the second one is in regards to the issues of the building department. Building elevations will be coming back to you. We have some conditions that require them to have these materials, stucco walls, stacked stone water table, basically what they've shown us tonight. And also, you can improve alternate materials. But they cannot have that CMU that was shown on there. And also, the proposed dumpster enclosure will match the structure on the site. That concludes staff recommendation.
Thank you, sir. Gentlemen, do you have any questions, staff? Is the applicant here? Yes, sir. Would you like to come forward and give us any additional information?
Hi there, I'm Lance Cheeley. I'm representing Joel Moth, the owner of I'm 1104 Campbellton Drive. One reason we call the staff recommendation, we all the conditions that was included in the application. Site is difficult to work with without the initial 40-foot reduction or the reduction to 40 property line. 125-foot setback that would normally apply from the major, taken away. Facing those constraints from being on the corner lot does require us to existing building that you can it's a typical layout for the have here. It's very much similar to the one Evans. Will be the kind of component of the Jiffy Lube, tires, brakes, not a service that's offered on property, and we will not be able to fit square footage this building on the property without that setback. Knowing that, we have add additional landscaping backside of this and add the architectural elements that we have. Middle panel, the dock, water table, and it's important for us in a different regard to a standard drive-up commercial out of your car and go type of development that we have to be able to drive cars, get them around. So a portion that might be able to fit on the site a little bit differently. Get a car around the site, it pushes our with that said, we support.
Thanks, sir. Gentlemen, any questions? Thank you very much. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone here that'd like to speak either for or against this particular rezoning? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and accept a motion to approve, to disapprove, or to table.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve RZ 21-12-04.
With conditions?
With conditions.
Second still hold? Okay. Motion been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion to approve carries 5-0.
Well, one question. Did you make a motion to approve RZ 21-12-04? Or was I hearing things? I could have been hearing things. Possible.
No, I thought I heard RZ too.
Okay. Yeah, it's definitely
It
VA.
needs to be VA.
Okay. Okay, would gentleman restate his motion?
I didn't follow what you said.
It's,
We're down,
this is the variance, not the rezoning.
number 5.
I think you were on the deleted item.
All right, I apologize for that error. You're talking about item 5, VA
Yes, sir.
21-12-02.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
I make a motion with conditions to approve that.
Right? Do I hear, second still hold? Okay. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Okay, Ms. Montgomery, file VA 211203.
Yes, sir, this is a request for a variance to section 90-135 signs at 785 Innovation Parkway. This property is located sort of at the end of Innovation Parkway off Appling Harlem Road, and is currently zoned M2 General Industrial, as are the majority of the surrounding properties to the northeast and south. It is part of the White Oak Business Park. You can see we have RA property off to the west. Aerial of the site, I will say the site does not look like this anymore. Here's the existing site. So this is an Amazon warehouse building. You can see the primary freestanding sign in this picture. And the request is in regards to the directional sign location. Not there. So we'll touch on this in a moment, but they do have two signs proposed. So this was the primary sign that was permitted, and then there was a directional sign proposed as well. For county code, they're only allowed one principal, like primary freestanding sign on a road frontage. Since these are both on the same road frontage, one of them had to meet the miscellaneous sign requirement, which is basically for directional signage. For county code, that's allowed to be 3 feet tall and 3 square feet in area, so it's intended to be a very small sign. They did submit sign permits application, and we did approve a directional sign at that size as part of the sign permit application. However, they are here tonight requesting a larger sign, which has actually been installed on the property at this time. This sign is 6 feet tall and 24 square feet, and it is intended to provide directional signage for the tractor-trailer traffic at this facility. There's no particular concerns with the larger sign on this property. Our county sign code does not have a separate allowance for industrial properties versus commercial or professional properties, and obviously there's a lot more tractor-trailer traffic in this location that needs the taller, larger signage for visibility and safety. The property is within the industrial park and internal to the park, so it's not visible from any of the adjacent roadways, and it won't impact any of the adjacent properties negatively. We do have some conditions just to kind of clean up the paperwork and the permitting side, and to ensure that the sign as installed meets the setback requirements for the code. So we are recommending approval with the conditions that the one miscellaneous freestanding sign is allowed, but does need to meet the setback and location requirements for principal freestanding signs, and that the sign permit application must be submitted in order to verify the location and dimensions are correct as constructed. And that concludes staff recommendation.
Gentlemen, any questions to staff? Okay, is the applicant here? Mr. Bennett, do you have anything you'd like to add? Okay. Is there anyone here that'd like to speak either for or against this particular variance? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and accept a motion to approve, to disapprove, or to table.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve with conditions, file VA 211203, variance to increase the size and height of the miscellaneous freestanding sign at 75 Innovation Parkway.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor? Approved, carries 5-0. Have no text amendments, no legal matters. Do we have any staff or commissioner comments? Gentlemen, I thank y'all for covering for me last meeting, and sorry, try not to miss another one for that particular reason anytime soon. Do we have any public comments? Okay, seeing none, I will accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do I hear a second? Any discussion? All in favor? Motion to adjourn. Passes 5-0 at 6:48. Next meeting is December 16th, 2021 at 6 p.m. in these chambers. Thank you for coming out. Skylar, come on up and let's meet for sure.